Hello, everyone, and welcome to our final game of the NASPA Tournament of Champions presented by Scrabble GO. We saw Cecilia go up 3-0 in the finals, and we thought, okay, maybe this is going to end in 4 games. Austin Shin had other ideas. He's won the past 3 games, and we're going to a game 7. Josh, what are your thoughts right now?
I was thinking, what if they tie, obviously? And it seems like Austin has enough spread differential. He's won his games by more, I think, than Cecilia. So if it is tied, it goes to Austin. So he has actually more than a 50% chance of winning this series. I don't know if he's thinking about that, but yeah.
So he has like a 50.5% chance or whatever, forever often ties happen. But both players have played incredibly well. I mean, even though Cecilia's lost the past 3 games, we saw in the last game her make a play that one person in the chat pointed out, but we have hundreds of people in the chat right now. All of us didn't see it. The commentators didn't see it. It's an incredible find she made, and if she stays that sharp, she's in really good shape. If Austin stays as sharp as he's been playing, he's also in good shape. So let's see what happens. The players are ready, so we're going to turn to the game now. Enjoy, everyone. Remember to like and subscribe. And if you know any other Scrabblers, mention this to them. This is a can't miss game. Share this post as well. I'm sure everyone would love seeing this game 7.
Without further ado, let's do this.
So Austin is already... Oh, I was going to say he might be setting up his X, but no, he decides to play both the J and the X here. Josh, would you play the X down here or set up the X?
I would play it. I wouldn't be super happy. Just taking the X off here, you can see not only do you set it up with JEUX, you set up XU, which is one of those 2-letter X words. But I think taking 16 more points, the X is worth 8. It's doubled. You gotta take the points here. And who better than Austin to take the points?
Meanwhile, Cecilia drew all 1-point tiles with no bingos available. So she's probably just going to do something short here. What is jumping out at you, Josh?
Yeah, good question. I want to get rid of the R and the I, but there isn't a great way to do that here.
Would you exchange?
I might exchange. I probably wouldn't. I might play something like NITRE under JEUX. Just because there's nothing great here.
It is kind of funny you said I want to get rid of the I and the R, and you just made a play that suggested getting rid of everything but an I and an R.
Okay, you got me. Well, the thing is, Morris, I mean, there's 2 I's and 2 R's, right? So you are technically getting rid of the I and the R.
For sure.
But very good point. I appreciate it.
So, yeah, we'll see what she is considering here. I guess we'll see what Quackle maybe has to say. I'm guessing it could even suggest REI through the I in, yeah.
That's a cool idea.
Because it sets up an N.
Yeah, so, REIN is a word.
So I think that could be an interesting option for her. But she is already down 36, so only scoring 3. If Austin scores 30 again, a bingo basically only ties it. So she can't commit to that strategy for too long. That is the potential advantage of a play like Niter, which Josh pointed out, directly below the U and the X.
Yeah, I wonder if that play is even in the simulation choices. I doubt it. I have faith that it's a good play, but I don't know if our producer has put it in there. Maybe he doesn't trust my judgment. But yeah, TI being the top simulating play here, making UT and XI. That's just a weird play. It makes sense. You're scoring points. You're setting up lanes, but it's very odd. It's a very odd position for Cecilia. Hopefully she doesn't spend too much time here, as she has gone overtime in 2 of these 6 previous games.
Yeah, so I agree. You can't spend too much time on this turn. If she goes into minute 16 here, that's going to be trouble because Scrabble is a very complicated game, as you've seen. Even though this position's tough, there's probably going to be a lot more tough plays this tournament. So, or not this tournament, this game. So I hope she makes a play soon. They all seem pretty similar. You're not super satisfied with any of them, but you just got to do something.
Yeah, and it just goes to show the play of jeu is so strong defensively that it's really hard to make a two-letter word with the U. You need specific tiles such as the N and the T, and then you have to underlap the X with an I or a U. It's just not a lot to be done in this position if you're Cecilia. So that play of JUX is very, very good for Austin.
Yeah, but she is taking a while here, and we normally see her like look at the board, right, play a few words down and evaluate which she likes the best in look, kind of getting a good feel for it visually. And she hasn't even done that at all. She's still just kind of sorting her tiles, mixing them around. So she might just really not see anything even worth putting down the board. And so she's going to play Nyx. It's a similar idea to TI. I actually think this is a cooler idea in some ways because it does set up her E and it doesn't give back as easy of a spot to get back. So it's a fine idea, I think.
Yeah, possibly. And even something like Nixie putting the I and the E, that's also pretty defensive. Again, you really want to get rid of your duplicate letters here, but the only way you seem to be able to do that is either by playing a lot of tiles and getting rid of even better tiles that you have on your rack, or by scoring so few with REI for like 3 points. So it's very difficult here. So Nyx, it's a good play. See what happens.
Oh, and she needs another I, right? Retiarii is a word.
Mm-hmm.
That would be
you spell that for everybody.
Retiarii. So
yep, that is a word, and she unfortunately does not have it.
Yeah, but she will likely now get rid of the I and the R since the board is slightly more open, as Austin played Meow, making Nyx with an E at the end.
Yeah, and still just nowhere to score. She's already down by 50. Something's gonna have to happen here. Maybe RIN is a play. Maybe you want to play AUREI through the U and Mew, just to sort of block that spot a little bit and set the board up for yourself. I think I kind of like that idea.
I really like that idea too, but it looks like she might be opting for Rin here, which she might be thinking Austin's already up by 50 points on me. I'm not going to score much on this turn. Why don't I just make him think? Playing something like Nyx and then Rin could cause him to forego the highest equity plays to just try to muck up the board. And if you're holding good enough letters, your opponent's attempts to do so might just make them make an error. So I like the idea of forcing your opponent to think. And I still probably prefer REI through the U, but it's not a bad idea to force your opponent to consider what you have.
And these are some of the hardest positions in the game of Scrabble, where you don't have anything that scores remotely well. You don't have anything that leaves extremely well. As we mention all the time, your leave is almost as important as the points you're putting on the board. So it's extremely hard because the computers, they can iterate through all these simulations as we are doing currently on the bottom left of the screen. But I mean, it's just going through all these possibilities of what's going to happen next, and you don't really know. Like, there's just so many distinct things that can happen after any play that Cecilia makes. So yeah, understandably, she's taking her time here. I mean, the play being suggested, K4 RIA making NA, that just doesn't seem like a human play to me. But if she plays Uteri, that's a similar idea to Orei. It goes hand in hand with her last previous play of Gyno and Ovum in the last game. But I mean, Scrabble isn't necessarily a game of that sort of pattern. It's just interesting to note.
So the one thing that did do is that, or I guess it did two things. One, it didn't give Cecilia a lane to play a lot of sevens. If she played REI, the A would have been sticking out for that. And the second thing it does is what you're seeing now. It gives potential big point plays for Austin. He's going to play yoga here, it looks like. Would you play yoga or yag here?
I would definitely play yoga. I mean, if she has an S, she's right back into the game. If she has an S and a bingo, I should say. So I would be very afraid of making a play like yoga, but Austin has demonstrated that he is not afraid. So I would not be surprised if he makes this play. He could also, instead of putting the A there, he could put the H there. That's being suggested by the engine. Yog is also a word, and that will score 6 more points. But the CH combination is very powerful.
So he is blocking bingos also to the E and the I, potentially C.
Yeah, I mean, any play he makes there is going to block Filariad and what's the other one there? Airfield. Yep. Airfield and Filariad both play for Cecilia, but any play that Austin makes next to the E, the R, and the I is going to block those, which is really unfortunate for Cecilia.
Yeah, the one play that went was yogic of the one suggested by the engine. So he didn't play that, played one of the other ones, and he drew really good tiles. So Austin's in great shape, especially since Cecilia has already used almost 8 minutes of her time. So she's going to need to pick up her pace here. But Austin is up a nice lead, basically a bingo lead, and he will likely get another bingo next turn. Yeah, we'll see how Cecilia responds, though.
Yeah, it's looking really, really good for Austin here. No predictions, obviously, but Cecilia is going to have to come up with a lot to potentially win this game. So fairly or fairy to that Y, those both seem like very natural options here.
Yeah, so I think she's going for the 6-letter play of fairly. I think that looks good. It's just try to take points now. ID is perfectly fine versus LID. They're fairly similar. I don't think it's worth 3 points difference.
I agree. I like this play. She's probably just seeing, am I missing something? This is the most important game. 3-3. Yeah, this is this is it, guys.
Yeah, so she's still taking her time here. This could be... She's been spending a lot of time on these first few turns, and she's almost used half the clock and not half the game. So she will need to pick it up a bit. And it looks like Austin, with his bingo, will be up over 100. It's going to be a tricky situation, as Cecilia drew kind of the tiles she didn't want to draw there. Just she's not getting the stuff she needs at this point right now, as Austin finds Lucons making of, not, and SI.
Highest scoring play found almost instantly. He's just checking to see if there's anything that might be better than that. But his bingo finding has been phenomenal throughout this whole event. And he's going to be taking a 100-plus lead. It's going to be really hard for Cecilia, but looking forward to seeing how she sets herself up for victory here, because she's been doing a great job at giving herself chances in these games.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it last game. She always has a plan, and honestly, that's the most important thing. I think that separates out good players from great players. I think
look at
players.
This.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Morris. Sorry, I was just noticing something interesting. Austin is putting his tiles physically on the board to see that there might be. He's just being visual about it and seeing, oh, is there something else there that makes OLS or ELS, because that plays on top of fairly. I haven't seen this strategy used before, but it seems like a good idea to implement this sort of thing if you're playing when you're playing Scrabble Go on your phone.
Yeah, it's a great idea. I mean, we see things visually sometimes that we don't necessarily see in our head. But the thing I was saying is, I think a lot of people get a good sense of, okay, this is a good leave of letters, right? There's some synergy with things like CHE, for instance. We saw Austin keep recently. That has some intuitive feel to it. And even seeing the board dynamics, I think if you've been watching enough of the stream, there are ways that you can see how the board unfolds and see, okay, this is how to close the board. This is how to open the board. So those sorts of things are fairly intuitive. But the thing that really impresses me about players like Cecilia is for specific situations, she can move from those general principles to specific situations on the board. We saw a very specific weird tile pool. She found basically the only winnable idea, the only winnable strategy. And so she always has a really good plan. And it's going to be a tough slog to try to claw back here. But if anyone, I think Cecilia is one of the best people to try to do that.
And we see a heads-up decision here by Austin. If he does pull the trigger on this, he takes it back. But he's not happy with the positioning of his original idea of Lucan's that he put down almost instantly. He wants to see if there's anything else that scores nearly as much that looks better for the board. But turns out he's going right back to his first love of Lucan's for 80 points. And I mean, he's scoring, and he isn't stopping. That one will never get old. And he's drawn into abaters. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so this looks like he's in very good shape to lock this up. If you're Cecilia here, what do you even do? I mean, and we see we're cutting to Austin's screen. He was already laying it down to make sure it was valid in this dictionary. But
It's
for
also
Cecilia,
a breast.
So what does Cecilia do in this situation?
Windier. I think windier, windier.
Yeah, I guess that has to be the idea. Getting rid of both I's and one of the R's and the W and scoring a lot with it. You just got to do it and hope you pull the blank, get some other key tiles. You do get it within 100 points. So if you get a bingo and Austin doesn't, although we are seeing Austin's about to get another bingo in a row, you could claw back.
Yeah. And fortunately for our viewers at home, we're not going to see a breast on the board. We're going to see a baiters for 80 points. Ant Bears is also available through that N and Windier, but you got to take the points here. Yeah, Austin's just pulling way too far ahead here. I think it's getting closer and closer to a shutout win.
Yeah, if Austin pulls off the 4 game in a row comeback, it would be incredible. But I've been told don't call it a comeback, so I'll stop saying that now.
And who said that? You can say what you want. You're the guy behind the camera. It is a comeback. I mean, he was down 0-3, and now it's 3-3. And look at the score, 261-88. This is not going Cecilia's way. She could play Zill through that I. She's putting it down. That's probably her best play. A really cool idea was Zillah, Zillah through the A and abaters. That might open a really big spot that she might need. Hooking an S for Zillahs on that furthermost right column. Something like that. Or Zill opening that double spot. This is what she needs to come back into this game. So it's very interesting.
I'm not sure. I feel like that could close down the board more than you hope. I might have even gone something like Frail or Flail through the A and the I and Hoke and Uteri. But again, this is a really tough position. You just kind of, whatever strategy you're going for, you just need to figure out the best set of objectives to get there and then implement it. And so it's a tough position.
And look at Austin. He's drawn into another bingo. I don't know if his letters play here, but
should be a word, right? For the OR in Hoagie and Uteri, right? Or is that not valid?
No, it's entoderm. Yeah, entoderm and mentor. It's a Harry Potter term. I mean, the mentors, you have to try it. Yeah. I'm sure many of us at home have tried this word, dementors, but no, I think he's going to have to settle for something like med next to Uteri. And I mean, I say settle. He's ahead by 140 points in a commanding lead. There's not much that can stop him at this point.
Yeah, so Austin basically doesn't want to open any crazy lanes. And it looks like he's just going to keep on scoring. No crazy lanes. Going to play Mend, it looks like. Perfectly good idea. And he will be at almost 300. He has more than doubled Cecilia by now. He's gotten the right letters this game.
Yeah, definitely in that tricky opening position. You never want to see this go down in this way. It can happen to anybody. He starts the game off with 36 points. Cecilia could barely score 15, and after that, it's just a piece of cake. He's getting all the scoring tiles. And I'm sure this is what the Austin fans at home were hoping would happen. I'm sure this is a bit heartbreaking for the Cecilia fans, but what a series! I know it's not over yet. They keep reminding me it's not over. It's not over till it's over, and I'm one of those players that takes that to heart. But in this position, I cannot even see a way for Cecilia to claw back.
Yeah, I'm wondering if she plays something like FID this turn. Oh no, AF isn't even a word. I was wondering if she could try to set up EGH or EDH. Sorry. She's going to play Frigid, which does
beautiful.
EDH. What a great idea by Cecilia, man.
I mean, with plays like this, hey, anything can happen. That is a beautiful find, and Austin doesn't really have anything to respond with. He's stuck himself with these 1-point tiles. So hey, maybe there's a chance. Although you see Cecilia's drawn VVK, which is just not what you want to see. Oh wow, Testy and Seti for 42 points.
A 5-tile overlap. Man,
oh my goodness,
Austin is also really good at finding those kinds of plays, and he's putting it down, of course. Oh no, he's just going to play T. That's honestly a great idea too. He sees that that's the most dangerous bingo spot, and he keeps EOST.
Imagine though, seeing the SET or TES going above that will give you an extra 25 points. And we've seen this before. He laid down WOF only to realize that there you go. Only to realize, oh wait, I can go even further. He played Woeful. That was one of his top plays. Now he's playing Seti. Beautiful play. Frigid was beautiful. I mean, just look at all of these overlaps. 2 5-way overlaps in a row. And that's just high level Scrabble.
Yeah, so with that, he's in a really good position to win. It's 334 to 163. And Cecilia has been playing faster the past few turns, so she has a bit more breathing room now, and I think she's just going to try to think, is there any way I can even win this, as Austin drew the other blank. And you often see when Austin's tiles disappear, that's because he's looking at the board from his perspective, so he's now laying down in Dorsey on his view of the board. We'll just cut to that for a sec just to show you, but this is now from Cecilia's perspective. So he will get a bingo next turn in all likelihood. And yeah, it's just Cecilia can't do anything here.
Man. Yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? She has Obit. She can play that for 29 points.
She's going for Akvavit, maybe. She's just played HO.
Akvavit? Oh my goodness. AKV, AVIT.
Because she's carrying HO, so a T could go in front of it.
So cool. I mean, we're seeing even cooler options of Hokum for 32, which would actually block endorse C, but it would give back 7s on the K column. There's Vodka through that D in Windier, Windier, but this is it. Austin's just, I think, going to deliver the final blow here. And yeah, wow. This is the most one-sided game I think we've had all tournament.
Yeah, it's a shame. We wanted this final to be like as like at the edge of your seat as all these other games we've seen in this final, but unfortunately it's not. So while Austin is thinking about which bingo to play, as a reminder, this whole event has been brought to you by the North American Scrabble Players Association. If you want to learn about how to get involved in the game, we hope after these broadcasts you can see how cool a game Scrabble is and how attainable it is. I mean, we know more words than maybe a kitchen player at home, but there's a pretty consistent kind of way to think about the game, and hopefully you've already been thinking about that way to some extent and are already seeing more types of options that achieve your agenda in Scrabble. If any of this excites you, go to scrabble.zone/info to learn more. Although we can't see it on this screen, on the main screen you'll see the QR code for Scrabble GO. That's an awesome way right now to start playing Scrabble. Scrabble GO is the phone app for Scrabble, and it's a great way to get involved.
And even in crushing victory, Austin finds the best play and sold, hitting 2 doubles, and he already has 400 plus. Cecilia just has to make plays here. Has to end the game. Unfortunately, there's no resigning in Scrabble. Every point matters. This isn't chess, so we have to play it through. There's almost always a non-zero chance of somebody winning the game who's behind, and even then, I mean, we all want to end the game because you just get to play more words. And I'm really really excited to see all the viewers here watching this with us. And as Morris said, Scrabble is an awesome game. We all love it. And oh my goodness. As we say that, Austin has another bingo. Luckily, it's not his turn. And Cecilia may very well block Brown out. And it might not even be the right play. Because maybe, no, there's no possibility of Usquabe or Uskabe. I'm just thinking Brown out would open a triple. I'm just rambling at this point. Austin has the game won, I think, regardless of what he does. But yeah, I mean, we all love Scrabble. It takes a long time to get really good. If you want to get good, if you want to just play the game, tournaments aren't just for top level players. There are many, many divisions. We all started somewhere. Please visit scrabble.zone/info.
Yeah, so it looks like she is playing Kiva, which would block Brown out. So good defense. But yeah, or Viva could be an option too. It looks like she's now considering that. She played Vivaria early in the tournament, which was a beautiful find. And so showing her
nice
knowledge.
Nice nostalgic memory there of the early days of this tournament. Who knew we would get this far, Morris?
Yeah, well, I kind of knew since, or if it wasn't going to get to today, something drastically wrong would have had to go in between. But Austin looks like he's now...
But no, that's a funny international word. But anything Austin plays here is enough. I don't think he's going to waste too much time. I think Wart on the bottom, but below Lucan's is probably a great option here.
Yeah. So as Austin's deciding if he'll play Wart or something else, it'd be good to start doing some thank yous. So if you like the professional look of the stream and just that quality, the 2 people you have to thank right away are our lead producer, Will Anderson, and Christian K, our assistant producer. They've worked tirelessly around that. The third person you need to thank for that, especially for all the interstitial content you're seeing during the breaks, is Josh Greenway, the head of social media at NASPA. Also, thank you to NASPA in general, especially Judy Cole. She has done an incredible job helping us out and getting us all the things we need to make this broadcast possible. Thank you to Scopely for allowing us to use their platform and donating a beautiful amount of money for 2 great causes. It's really valuable. And thank you to the players, especially Cecilia and Austin. They've played 7 games in a row here with like a 5 or 10 minute break in between that takes so much energy out of you. And they're playing so excellently. And thank you to my commentator, Josh Sokol, and my other commentators throughout the tournament, Matt Kanek and Andy Hong.
And thank you to Morris. I mean, this guy has just been here the whole time. The players obviously have been spending tons of energy playing, but let's not forget all the work that Morris has put in. Thanks a lot, Morris. Really from the bottom of my heart, man.
You're welcome, Josh. So, as Austin is now trying a few last things, we should, at one final time, talk about our two charities, Dolly Parton's Imagination Library and the NASPA Foundation for Youth Literacy. The NASPA Foundation for Youth Literacy works to foster literacy, mathematics, strategic ability, and fair play among students through the facilitation, organization of word game play. We've seen school Scrabble champions in this tournament in Jackson Smiley and as a commentator in Andy Hong. If you want to have, kids without those opportunities learn how to play these strategy games, this is a great cause for that. Dolly Parton's Imagination Library is a book gifting program that mails free, high-quality books to children from birth until they begin school, no matter what their family's income is. Austin's family's used it. They love it. Check them out. And we'll throw links in the comments or in the chat. And to donate, do that now. These are both great causes.
Indeed, they are. So, as this game comes to a close, Morris, what are you looking for in this post-game interview? Is there anything you remember that was really interesting that you'd like to talk about, that you'd like to ask? And I'll ask everybody in the chat as well before I let Morris talk. Sorry, Morris. If you have any questions for the two players in this post-game interview, there were 7 games. We're almost finished with the 7th. If there's something you want to ask them about, what were they thinking in certain positions, now's the time to ask your questions. We'll try to look at all of them, pick the best ones. What about you, Morris?
So I think, one play we'll have to ask Cecilia about is Joiner, just because that felt like the turning point in this. And we really like that play, but we have to ask her, was she thinking about anything else at all during that? That stands out as a potential moment. I'm trying to think even. These games were all so good. We obviously have to show Cecilia's flex of finding her potential out bingo of GY.
And speaking of flexes, Hemp, what a great play, setting up her Y. That is such an amazing play. Come on. She even in defeat, she's making these incredible finds. That is beautiful. Yeah,
so Austin did empty the bag, so Cecilia really can't bingo now and come back. Let's hope she can hit 300, though. The Hempy hook, that's such a cool idea. Can she get down to the triple there? I'm actually not.
She can play Inky, at least.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Inky keeping age. That's probably the best option, honestly. That'll be 48 points. She'll get 295, and I don't think Austin can use all of his tiles. He has 6 tiles left. So I think she will hit a nice 300 at least. Us expert players, we really don't like when we can't hit 300. But whatever scores you have, Scrabble is Scrabble. And if you're looking to improve, there's just so many options available to you, especially in this time where most people are staying home. There are no in-person tournaments, and there's just so many tools you can use. So just visit the website scrabble.zone/info to get a good start. There's so many other websites you can choose from as well. So Inky is being considered. She finds it. That's the best play. She plays it.
And she keeps gaze as an option for next turn, which is super cool.
Gaze through the Z and Zill on the left side of the board. That's a beautiful sequence. In these end games, you're looking to go out before your opponent, catch them with tiles on their rack. And by doing that, we do usually an out and 2. We saw early in this tournament, Cecilia's opponent had nowhere to put his C tile. So instead of the classic out and 2, Cecilia did an out and 5. She made 5 separate plays, knowing her opponent could do nothing about it. But usually you'll see people going out and 2, and Inky is the perfect way to do that. Austin blocks gaze, but Cecilia has Vega, and that'll be it, folks. Congratulations to Austin Shin, the Tournament of Champions winner.
Yeah. So we will. They're doing the handshake across the screen. What a nice way to end it. And I feel like in quarantine, I think we can do this often with people. I think it's a fun idea in general, regardless of if your screen's away.
You want to try it, Morris? Let's do it.
Yeah. Good game, Josh. Good commentary. So it looks like Will Anderson is getting ready to interview the players. If you have any questions in the chat, let us know. We can try relaying some of them to Will.
Yeah. So are we ready? Are the players ready, Will? Okay. We're hearing a yes from our producer.
So stick around. We're going to cut to Will Anderson now.
My mic. There we go. Microphone on. We've just unmuted the players, and I don't even know where to start. Amazing 7 games of Scrabble. Obviously wild swings with Cecilia taking the first 3 games and Austin coming back with 4 games in a row to win the series. Scrabble definitely a swingy game, but I'm not... are you guys feeling a little bit of whiplash after those 7 games? Cecilia, that I know it must hurt, but you played amazingly throughout. How does it hurt? It stings probably a little to be a 3-0 and then drop the series. But how are you feeling right now?
Congratulations, Austin. You played awesome. I mean, whiplash would be an apt word, but I try not to think about it that way. I try to keep my mind on one turn at a time and focus on making the best play. So it wasn't like I was like, oh, I'm 3-0, I'm about to win, and then, but I wish I could have made those last few games a little more competitive for the viewers.
Well, yeah, we all, anyone that's played Scrabble for long enough knows there are games like we saw in Game 7 where one player just gets most of the goods, but there were so many games earlier that were really back and forth between the two of you. Austin, I have to say, for somebody whose Scrabble mantra or catchphrase is scoring never stops, you really proved that you mean never. Down 3-0, just absolute laser focus throughout every game. Really, the both of you, but certainly Austin as well, did not get rattled. What was your mindset when you were facing that 3-0 deficit? Do you just try to block that out and do what got you this far?
To be honest, I was actually looking forward to an early afternoon, really. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, being 3-0, to be honest, there's no real pressure after that. It's just a matter of playing the way you normally do and playing it a move at a time, and hopefully that the letters fall your way.
Yeah, really, it's very difficult to point to a turn at any point where I would say that Cecilia gave a game away or anything like that. I know what's going to be looked at as that turn. If I cut to Game 6 on my Quackle, where I think we both know what's coming, this really pivotal play of Joiner, where Cecilia facing a situation where she's up not by that much. You're only up by less than 50. And you have a huge J play that scores 60 points that puts the R in the triple lane, and Austin had the absolute goods of Urbanist. I guess the commentators and probably some people in the chat were wondering, this is a total hindsight question, and we know that, but did you consider just playing Jive down the triple column to the F of Fritz at any point? It scores 11 fewer points, but it does avoid leaving GV and putting the R in the triple lane. Again, total hindsight question. This is really almost an unfair question because I did the sim and Joiner sims perfectly neck and neck with Jive. Just wondering if you considered that other play because it was so pivotal.
I should have thought about it harder. I think I had the same rationale as you. I'm not up by that much.
Yeah.
My mindset at that point was to just keep on scoring. I think that the fact that he had just played PIX, should have given me a little more pause. But I kind of went ahead and so I wasn't shocked or anything when Urbanus came down, but I think I just went ahead and played it before I lost my nerve, and I don't completely regret it.
I don't think you should. I really don't think you should. It was not a cut and dried situation where you absolutely should have played Jive. It's one of those situations as Scrabble players, again, that we've all been in, where sometimes a move that you could make that might be inferior to the one that you did make has a better outcome in a specific instance, and it's not proof that the play you made is wrong. That was really the turning point where it seemed like after solid wins for Austin in games 4 and 5, it seemed like this one was headed your way after Joyner, and Austin just got that one break that he needed. Austin, you laid down unbasted in that situation. So you obviously you found Urbanist nearly instantly, but I think you were probably happy with your chances even before the triple. But what was your thought when you saw that R come down in the second position?
Wow. I thought I was, I thought I was seeing things, with the R there. But yeah, I was just very fortunate to have a lot of lopsided games, down the stretch. But Cecilia played really well throughout the whole thing and the whole tournament. So I knew that even if you won, then you'd be a worthy winner.
Yeah, we can say that as much as we want, but it really was absolutely true that both of you guys just played remarkably well throughout the 7 games and for the entirety of the event. I just want to reverse. I'm kind of going through games one after the other. Some good questions coming in. A question, ask both players, how did you prepare for this tournament? Which I think is going to be very different answers for the two of you. Cecilia, did you do any form of preparation for this tournament, or what's your thought on that?
That's a great question. I think that there wasn't a lot of notice. I think that the announcement of this tournament came about 2 weeks before it actually happened. And so, and prior to this, I actually have not been playing much at all. I have a 3-year-old. Since he was born, I've been able to go to about 1 tournament a year. And I have not been very much into Scrabble in between. And so, it's sort of
be forgiven raising a toddler.
I sort of went in with the mentality that I'm not going to be I'm definitely not at my peak or anything like that. 1 week is not enough to sort of get back into top form. And so I just went in, with the mindset that I'm gonna try to have fun, have some great competition, benefit some great causes, and what happens will happen.
Well, what happened is you put forth an incredible performance. I know it probably stings right now, but it was just a pleasure to watch you play throughout. And the commentators even said it during the event. I had actually picked you as kind of a dark horse just because my impression of you as a player is such that you're so solid strategically and have such a good understanding of Scrabble. And pretty much the only times where I ever beat you is when you miss a bingo that you chicken out of, or play a phony, or challenge a good word that I have, none of which are possible playing on Scrabble GO. So pretty much all of your weaknesses were eliminated and all of your strengths were amplified, and we really saw that on display for the entire tournament. So that's, things really played out much as I expected them, even though you are too humble to consider yourself to be a possible favorite. I was thinking that. So Austin, over to you now. So obviously, Austin, coming from a background of playing with the International Dictionary, again, just like for Cecilia, pretty much the way that playing this tournament made sense is that you could check words before playing them to see if they were valid. But talk to us a little bit about the experience of playing the North American Dictionary after so much experience and such high-level results in the international lexicon.
So sometimes I play by the NWL dictionary at a local club. So I'm used to, to a degree, like knowing what words are not words. So I kind of went through like the 2 and 3 letter word list of the Collins only word list. Beyond that, I don't really know much else about what is Collins, what is not Collins. So I didn't really expect to, know literally everything before I came into this tournament. Knowing that I can check words was just, it definitely helped me out because I would have lost like half my turns otherwise. But yeah, just the fact that you probably saw me like try and play, just trying to put down words whilst my opponent's thinking, just to save time. So I had to really come up with a bunch of like candidate plays to to try out and see. Hopefully that one of them would actually be playable.
We did see that, but it was remarkable how often you find you end up on the correct play in the NWL lexicon. So you're going down the list and you're just like perfectly iterating, okay, this is the best play that I see. I can't play that one, and you just continue down the list until you find the best one that you can play, and almost always that was the correct play. Getting a question in the chat, a really electrifying series of moves, one that you made, Cecilia, if we can just cut back to that, a really, really amazing play. We think we knew what you had in mind when you played VUM in game 6. So that was a game, again, where Austin jumped out to the huge lead after the triple-triple. But I was remiss in not asking you about your thought process on VUM. The commentators were floored by that as an unbelievably creative way to potentially steal a game. You want to talk to us a little bit about that play? And we have actually a further thought on that once you give your answer.
Sure. Well, I think that obviously my rack had really awkward tiles, and I did see this possibility of Gynoecia. I also thought that it was a somewhat hidden spot and that he would be more focused on blocking the other line that was on the board.
Laying it on the board for people to look at, you can see the word that Cecilia is referring to, that she's so close to with that rack. Yeah. That was awesome. A play that Josh Sokol saw that was basically like that brilliant idea, but on steroids, is I think we may see Alex in the background here. Hello. There he is. Future Scrabble champion right there, probably. But so one thought that Josh had is that potentially instead of VUM, if you had just played and ma, you could have not only fished for Gynoecia, but also Gynoecium to the that you would have placed on the board, if that makes any sense. So you would have been fishing for both the singular and the plural of the word in a way that was pretty much impossible to block. Due to the C and V out in space, there's no way that Austin can really reach both of those unless he plays a really long word to the A of Vang, which is not particularly likely. So even in those cases, Austin's up by over 100, so it's not looking great for you. We loved your creativity in that position, but maybe the Nigel Richards move would have been to play those two letters making ma. That was really amazing, though. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying that would have been incredibly slick. I think I knew that even if I got Gynecia, I was just going to squeak it out.
Well, what you did was incredibly slick as well. It's certainly basically nobody, I think maybe the commentator said one person in the chat even floated it as an option. So there's one in hundreds of people watching that thought of it, and you, one of the players, also thought of it. So really, really impressive. While we're at talking about impressive plays, I have to go back to Austin's play of Begirdled in game 2. We were just absolutely floored by that incredible play. So this is one of the games early on that Cecilia came out on top, but boy, did Austin do everything possible to give himself a chance. Actually, we need to talk about several positions in this game. So first, Austin, it seemed like you wasted very little time thinking of and playing Begirdled. Is that just something that sort of popped into your head when you saw Cecilia's play of Girdle and noticed that you had those extension letters on your rack?
Yeah. Just saw that she played Girdle, and I was like just thinking of anything that was randomly that can go there. I thought Begirdle, and then I wasn't sure of the D hook, but since it's void, I might as well play it. And
yeah.
It's all good.
Just a beautiful play. I mean, we were all going a bit, berserk when you made that play, just turning a really doomed position into a 42-point score and getting within range of Cecilia. And that was actually an incredibly interesting game. So Cecilia, I know you were in time pressure in that game. A couple of moves that you made, you did fish off your eye at one point, holding just a leave of Taylor. which seemed kind of scary, but obviously it ended up working out. Was that just a move where you're hoping to sort of simplify the game because your clock is ticking down, as opposed to making some kind of a tight tactical choice in that situation? Kind of turn it into a bingo or not?
I definitely opened the window larger than it needed to be opened in that game. Time pressure was a part of it. I thought that I knew that I thought that Austin's, I haven't, obviously had to, been able to look at it, but his play of SO was really nice. I knew that I was in trouble if I got caught with QZ. But I just had to go for it and breathe that sigh of relief when I signed my last tiles.
Well, I was going to ask Austin that exact question, because I'm pretty sure if we were to ask him about his play of SO at his thought process, Austin, would you like to confirm that you're hoping that you can bingo out and catch Cecilia with QZ and sneak ahead of her at the end of the game? That seemed like your plan. Is that true?
Yeah, I was going to put as there instead of so, but I think that any bingo under as or a bingo parallel to be girdled actually blocks that lane. So I had to put something far enough away from that to make sure that if I had a bingo at the end and Cecilia had the big tiles, then I could possibly win.
Yeah, that was just so high level. So basically, I'll give a few more seconds for anybody to submit more questions to our commentators, but if not for any more questions, I think we've covered most of the really interesting, I wouldn't say most, there were so many other positions I could ask you guys about, but not to keep you guys forever. Just want to reiterate, thank you to you both for competing in this event and putting on such a great show for all of us, myself included. I was just feeling very privileged to sit back and watch you guys play behind the boards here. But failing that, I think we can wrap up the interview and throw back to our commentators for a few final words. But congratulations, Austin, on your victory, and commiserations, Cecilia, but amazing effort to be our runner-up. And with that, I will toss it back to our commentators now.
All righty. So that was it.
Yeah, what an incredible event. We already said our thank yous, but again, I just want to highlight one person specifically, Will Anderson. If you like the look of this broadcast, he put in so much effort into figuring out how to take a phone app like Scrabble GO onto people's computers so that they could play with a mouse easily. And then from there, moving that to his own computer and have it not just shut down because there's so many different streams coming in with the quackle and stuff too. And then also just the visual look. It's just incredible what he was able to accomplish here. And if you really want to see more Scrabble immediately before we throw an event like this, go to Will Anderson's Twitch channel. He's producing really interesting content all the time. If we could throw a link to Will's Twitch channel, go to that. You won't be disappointed.
No, Will's streams are so entertaining. Not only when it's just an event, just when he's just playing around, he's just so good at Boggle and all these crazy other word games. It's really, I love watching his Twitch channel. I want to thank the players, Austin, Cecilia, Jackson, Jason. I want to thank Lori. I want to thank Lisa. There are two more players, Cesar and Eric. Okay, I guess I'll thank Cesar and Eric, but they know how I feel. They were just amazing. It's just such a high level of play. I could also just read the screen.
Yeah. So with that, definitely let us know if you have any feedback about the event, what you liked, what you would hope to see in the future for things like that. We're always willing to try to make this even better in the future, but we're really excited by this possibility of streaming, especially in this sort of quarantine era. Finally, congratulations again to the NASPA Tournament of Champions winner, Austin Shin. With that, I think we will go for now. Have a great weekend.